Welcome back to another episode of Drunk Dietitians. Today is a little bit different because we only have two people on here. Yours truly, Sammy, and Jenna. And we do not have a guest today because, well, first of all, we've been saying, Jenna, I feel like you and I have been saying this whole time that we literally need to do more of these episodes with just us and talking. But we haven't
since episode 1.
Yeah, since the first one. But that's just a testament to how many amazing guests we've had, and there's not enough time in the world to interview everybody. But we've had some really amazing guests. So today we're just gonna have Jenna and I super sit back, conversational, relax, enjoy the show. But before we get too comfy, we have some really exciting news that might make you jump off your seat. So I'm gonna drum roll it.
And I'm going to cheers with the water because that's all I can drink right now. If you guys have noticed, we haven't been really cheersing as much recently because I've been drinking water, not because of choice, but because I'm pregnant. Surprise! It was a surprise in a great way. It's funny when I called the doctor the first time, she's like, "Oh, a quarantine baby," and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yes, you're definitely going to be a part of the numbers that they say there's going to be a baby boom because everyone's just stuck inside and having sex with their partner.
It was going one of two ways, right?
Yes.
One of two ways. If you were married or are married during quarantine, which it still is quarantine for the record. We have been creating this content specifically through the COVID time where we thought was going to be 2 weeks, and 4 months later, here we are.
Yes. But we need to talk about, I feel like it would be a funny, I don't even know if you remember, because I think you were super emotional at this point, and I think we both were with just quarantine and then just educating ourselves more with Black Lives Matter. But
yes,
when you told tell everybody how you told me you were pregnant.
I was so cranky, and I was so you guys don't understand, the emotions and the hormones that everyone talks about are so real. And it's funny because back in the day, if I ever thought I was pregnant, I'd push on my stomach and be like, "Oh, my stomach is bloated, but it presses down, so I'm not pregnant." When you're in your 20s, right? You have no idea.
I was what? I don't think I've ever done that. For the record, I never did that.
I was always convinced that I was pregnant, right? And then it happened, and the way that your body just the hormones just take over, it's there's no denying it. And you and I were talking about something, and we were going to interview someone that I was really nervous about, and I was starting to have this anxiety about the interview process and what it was going to happen, and I was crumbling, and I finally was "So I have to tell you something, and this will explain why I'm a psycho right now." And you were "We need to talk about this," and I'm "I don't want to."
But I remember you just texted me "I'm pregnant," and then I think 2 seconds later you sent me a screenshot of
the bump
period
app.
Yeah, the bump the bump app, or your tracker with your cycle, and it was "My baby's as big as a blueberry." I was what's going on right now?
And today it's as big as a lime. And it's crazy. Just, I don't know. And for me personally, I knew because, and this is no secret, I mean, I shared this in episode 1, that I didn't have my period for 2+ years. And so once I finally got my shit together, for lack of a better term, and started taking care of myself in the way that was necessary to stabilize my hormones and give myself a period, I didn't miss a period for almost 2 years, not one. And so I have all the apps, and I would be tracking because it was super important to me to just know when it was coming and know that I was getting a period pretty regularly. And I was late. And so I was whatever. It's super stressful period, right? It's COVID, really stressed. And this was April. No, I'm sorry. It would have been my May period. And then it was a full week late, and I was really mean and super emotional, and my boobs were the pain was out of control. But the craziest thing is I'd be going on walks and I would lose my breath. I'd be walking my dog and being
So you thought you had COVID.
I literally thought I was dying. And I texted my mom and I was like, is shortness of breath a symptom of pregnancy? And she was like, no. And then she's like, wait, let me look it up. And then she would like screenshot me things like, it could be, maybe not, go take a test. And I'm like, I don't want to. I wasn't leaving the house at that point because it was like middle of COVID craziness. And so I finally like strapped a mask on, went to CVS. I was like, I'm doing it. And that was like, you don't have to go, you're pregnant. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I just know. Like he just knew because I was a monster. And so long story short, the craziest part is that I took the test on the day that my cousin was in labor. So she was literally like birthing her baby. Her and I are 3 months apart, like best friends.
Is this Anna?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so her baby was born May 20th. I took the test that day and found out. And I was like, I want to tell her, but I can't. Like, it was so crazy. But anyways, I digress. And then it's really just like craziness from there, the things that happen and like the anxiety and why you keep it a secret and all the things that I feel like I've experienced, I haven't read anywhere, which is why I'm excited to have this conversation and be able to answer questions going forward because, you know, I was feeling really shitty for a really long time. And then one morning I woke up and I was like pressing on my boobs and I was like, why do you feel normal? Like, why do I feel okay? Why am I able to like wake up right now and not be tired? Like what happened? And I panicked. Like I thought something was wrong. And then you get into like this Google hole of like, you know, if you've miscarried or, you know, you feel better or whatever it is. And you start making yourself crazy and there's nothing you can do. Your doctor is going to say, we'll schedule an appointment. You come in. And like, luckily I had an appointment a week later, but that whole week, like every 5 seconds, I'd be like pressing my boobs. Like,
you're like, I want to feel something.
I need to feel pain right now. And like, it's really scary. Not to mention like what you and I were laughing about before we pressed record, but like, I always envisioned myself as like the dietitian who is pregnant and like eating kale salads. Like just, oh my God. Sorry. One sec.
We have a dog barking right now, so we're just taking a quick break.
Nothing new here.
Who cares if he's barking? Just let him bark. It's
when I
fine.
move, where this is never going to happen again. But anyways, I always envisioned myself being able to just like, you know, just eat how I normally did and, you know, things that made me feel good and exercise throughout my entire pregnancy. And let me tell you that it is unbelievable what your body feels and what it goes through. And I have been sustaining myself on carbs and cheese. And literally nothing
Hallelujah.
else. And pizza is my main food group and chocolate milk, very into chocolate milk right now, makes me feel so good. Apparently the baby really needs calcium because I'm living off of dairy products right now.
Amazing.
And I think there was a couple of days where I ate not an ounce of protein because it just, the idea of chicken, and you hear women talking about that a lot, like that eating protein is really hard, but it was like days in a row and like a lot of time in a row that, you know, I couldn't stomach it and it would just make me feel so much worse. So I didn't do it. My cousin actually sent me a whole bag of like 3,000 Dum Dum lollipops because she mentioned that when she was pregnant, that was the only thing that made her feel better. And it's game changing.
That's so funny.
I eat them every day. And it's really funny. And I say often that if I had not dealt with my nutrition bullshit of diet culture in the
Your relationship with food, right?
with my relationship with food in general in the past,
Jenna's yelling at her dog, not me,
Not-
for anybody listening. Nobody can see what's going on. She's just yelling, stop.
I'm literally like, he's never acted like this before. Okay. He's also was the first one to know that I was pregnant. Side note. But you know, if I had not dealt with my relationship with food and moved through it and started to understand it, this would be, I can imagine, a much more difficult time than it has already been.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. And I think that there's a lot of emotions that have come up for me right now, especially being that in quarantine, you know, they don't know about COVID and pregnant women. And so the doctor's recommendations are to treat yourself as you are the highest risk population. So that means not participating in the outdoor workouts or seeing people in outdoor dining, which is now the norm right now, right?
Yeah.
I'm basically just hiding. And I can't really tell anyone why, because the reason that you wait until the end of your first trimester is because miscarriage rates are so high in the first trimester that it is so difficult to be able to feel confident in your pregnancy until the test that I actually have tomorrow. So I've been like in hiding, and my body's changing. And if anyone saw me right now, it would just, I wouldn't tell them, but my body's definitely changing, and it is a beautiful thing. And I feel so grateful for it. But again, if it was a couple of years ago, not even more than 5, it would be really difficult for me right now. And so I sympathize and empathize with, you know, how difficult this process can be without the right support and without having done the work prior to it.
I feel like the way I see it, just from your perspective, what I'm hearing you say is like, it kind of brings me back to how when I work with clients of like, okay, so we have our relationship with food, right? And then we have our relationship with our body. And those are 2 completely separate relationships, but they're 2 of the longest relationships that we'll be in for the rest of our life. So if we think about, we're always going to have this relationship with food. We're always going to have this relationship with our body, and they're ever changing because our body's changing and our likes and dislikes and aversions to food are changing. And so even if we focus more on the food aspect, just hearing you say how like, you know, you thought you would be the dietitian pregnant woman who was eating kale salads and nutrient dense foods, but then you hit this point where you're like, oh my God, I can't even stomach it, let alone look at it. But you were able to listen to your body and say like, I literally need carbohydrates and cheese, and like, I'm okay with that. And but imagining, and so that's I've definitely, a lot of my clients are mothers or women, and I'm sure same with you, or women that were pregnant. So just going through that, and like that comes back to the basis of intuitive eating, like trusting that your body knows best. Doesn't mean that you're only going to be eating pizza for the rest of pregnancy, but like when you're in that moment, like your body knows what it needs, and being able to trust that is so beautiful and so important during this time.
And it's so crazy because it is one of those things where it's undeniable that your body knows what it needs, like undeniable. And it makes me put myself in the position of women that I work with, and I'm sure you work with as well, is that when you get that cue, when you know something's up, when you know you need something and you ignore it, like what that consequence can be. And
can you imagine forcing a kale salad down?
Samantha,
like at that point,
I've never called you that before in my life. I couldn't even look at a kale salad. Matt would make eggs in the kitchen. I would have to leave the house because I couldn't smell the eggs. Like these are foods that I loved, and like I couldn't do it. And I would like stare at the plate and like try so hard. I just couldn't do it. And there was a couple nights where I ordered soup one night because it's all I wanted. And obviously it's like Uber Eats or whatever it was. And the driver was late to begin with because it's COVID. Like I'm sure they have a lot of orders. And I ordered Matt like a burger and a salad or something. And I got soup because that's just literally all I wanted. And the guy pulls up and he drops the soup on the front porch, like literally at my door. So there was no soup left. And he was like, do you want another one? I was like, no. Like it was like the worst thing that had ever happened to me. Like, and his poor kid, he's like, I'll bring you another one. I was like, I'm fine. And I was like, okay, I'll just eat half of his. And I couldn't even smell it. It's crazy. It's funny too. One of a couple dietitians that we know currently are pregnant as well. And one just announced her pregnancy recently on social media. I don't actually know her last name, Sam from Veggies and Chocolate. And we were just talking about this, but she posted a very similar thing that like she lived off of bread for dinner. And pita and Greek salads. And so I read that, and it's funny because you always hear like pregnancy cravings, and like haven't really had cravings, but it's more of like when I see something and it sounds good, I need it. Like it's like something like possesses you,
like animalistic.
I need it. Like in that moment, if I can't have it, like watch the fuck out. And so she posted that like she loved a Greek salad during her pregnancy with pita and tzatziki sauce, and that's all. When I tell you, it's all I could think about. It was 4:00. It was literally 4:00. I said to Matt, I said, I'm ordering dinner. He was like, it's 4:00. I was like, it's fine. It'll be here at 5. And I like couldn't stop thinking about the Greek salad for like hours. Like it was wild. I've never had a more beautiful like pita, like the size of my face with all of the sauce. And like, I even ate the salad that night. It was like a beautiful thing, but I went weeks without a vegetable, weeks. And it's okay, guys. Those prenatals are making up for it.
Yeah.
But it is just a really crazy thing. Like, it's just nothing that I expected.
Yeah. And I think it comes back to what we were chatting about. Like you're so thankful that you've done that work before this. And it doesn't mean that that you don't have bad body image days or bad food relationship days. Like we're still human, but just recognizing, like, for anyone listening who maybe isn't pregnant or is actively trying not to be pregnant, like, I still think these things apply, because even if, whether you want to have kids in the future or not, like we said, your relationship with food and your relationship with your body is always going to change, and pregnancy and childbearing years are going to throw a huge wrench in that. And it's great to just be able to kind of take a moment and assess right now, like for anyone listening, like I always, with intuitive eating, we use the scale: pleasant, neutral, unpleasant. What is your relationship with food like? What is your relationship with your body like? If you had to say pleasant, neutral, or unpleasant, and why? Take this time to like journal those responses and reflect. Doesn't mean you need to change overnight, but I think this is a really good teaching moment for so many of our listeners.
And it's so interesting too, because, you bring the fitness aspect into it, and you bring in the total disarray that I've shared in episode 1, just about what my body has been through. I mean, I was super emotional that this was never going to happen for me. And I really believed for a very long time that this was not in my cards because of the stress that I've put my body through. And I think that it is so important to just harp in and discuss and like drive the point home that your body is on your team. Like we've talked about before, right? Like when you start to respect it and stay consistent and build that trust, giving your body, when I say consistent, giving your body the fuel and rest that it needs, that maybe it hasn't had for a long time. If you were anything like me in the past, and when that's there, the results, and I know it's very different for every person, this is my personal experience, but the result for me was something I never would have expected. And for me, I didn't think I was pregnant because I really didn't believe it was going to happen for me. And that's on me. That's my own, personal issues, I guess we could call them. But
your belief system was skewed.
It was skewed, but it was more so that, I recognize now more than ever, the importance of really and truly listening to your body. And we have an episode coming up that I can't wait to share with you guys, where her name is Brittany, Doc Brit Fit on Instagram. And she was one of the first accounts during the Amplify Melanated Voices week that I interacted with. I saw somebody post her, and I saw, it was the week that I found out I was pregnant, or right around that time. And I saw someone post her and her stuff, and her whole page is dedicated to prenatal fitness and postnatal, and she just through the stages of life, like safe fitness for pregnancy. And I found her account and I reached out to her, and I mentioned this in that episode as well, but she was like the first person that knew I was pregnant, because I was like, help me. Like, I can't eat protein. How do I exercise? I think I'm killing the baby every time I go for a run. Like, I don't know what to do. And there's just all these anxieties, and you don't know like what's good, what's not good, and where to turn. And, if there's anything that I can say to anybody experiencing this maybe right now, is that you are so not alone, and we have resources for you because anything that you're feeling, we've discussed. Sammy has heard all of it from me so far. And it is something that, I'm excited and honored and grateful for the ability and the platform to share my experiences, to hopefully help somebody else understand that, like, this is all normal.
Yeah.
And the experiences that you'll feel in your body as it changes is also normal as well. And I specifically remember at the time, like, telling one of my cousins who was pregnant, like, you're like, it's so amazing, like what your body can do. And it's so beautiful. And I remember her saying to me, you know, it's pretty crazy. Like it's sometimes hard to watch, or maybe it wasn't my cousin. Somebody said that to me, like, you know, describing like watching their body change. And it's such a beautiful thing. And you have that duality of thoughts of like, this is such a beautiful thing and I'm so grateful, but like, holy shit, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy. And the pains that come along with it are also pretty crazy. And so is the gas. So that's fun. Like wild, just crazy things. Like, thank God I'm not in an office. I don't know how women hide this in the first trimester. Like,
it is interesting to think about, like, yeah, because you've always, not always, but most recently in the past few years, like you work from home. So, but like, I do think about friends that have, you know, gone through pregnancies or family members, and they talk about like trying, like my one friend has her doctorate, or is a doctor in psychology and sees clients. And she was saying how she was like literally like throwing up between clients and like laying in her office in the dark. And I was like, no, like absolutely not. Like, I don't know how, yeah, women are freaking amazing.
Unicorn.
And
I mean, could you imagine working at ShopRite feeling this way? Like, because I think about all of the things that would be thrown my way, and like how many of the dietitians I managed at the time that were pregnant, because there were multiples of them and I had no idea. Like,
and imagine like going on like a grocery store tour and you're like passing the eggs and the chicken and like maybe
rotisserie chicken.
Yeah, you're like smelling it and then you're like trying not to vomit at the same time.
You guys listening, you're my heroes if you're listening. Yes.
But I think that's where talking about this stuff is so important, because I think we definitely go into detail on Britt's episode. I can't remember exactly. But just how, even as someone, like, I feel so honored to, obviously for you for sharing this, but being able to walk through this with you and with other pregnant friends and family members, of just learning from them, because like I don't have an older sister, and obviously I do have my mother, but like this isn't like a regular thing that you talk about really. Mm-hmm. And like there's in school, it's not like you're like, and not that everyone has to have babies. Like if anyone's listening to this and I'm like, I don't want to have kids, like total right to that body autonomy and if you want kids or not, but just learning like what is it going to be like, or like what happens, or you know, if you don't have that exposure through sisters or cousins or whatever it is, like we, like you said, like we're open books and we want to give that platform of what it can be like. So
and you don't read about it anywhere because everything contradicts itself, and like you go onto these platforms to read, you know, boards from people, and it's the same with nutrition. Like the answer is always it depends, or it's dependent on you, and it is person specific, and there's just so many things that are just so unknown. And it's funny when you mentioned your mom. Like my mom has been obviously by my side in this since day one. I called her like the moment I found out. And I mean, even she's like Googling things for me because she's like, I don't remember this. And I'm like, yeah. Well, duh, it's been like 30 years since.
And they didn't wear like Apple Watches back then, because that was when you really noticed your heart rate going up. Like our parents didn't have Apple Watches on when they were going for walks back in the day. I would be on a walk and my heart rate would it would ask me if I wanted to track my fitness. Like that's how bad it was. It's like, we notice you're exercising right now. Do you want to track your run? And I'm like, I'm walking the dog. Like it's crazy. It was so insane to me, but like and you'll probably, anyone listening will probably notice this now. We've recorded so many episodes since I've known I was pregnant, and I'm like, like I catch my breath. I've never noticed. At my client calls now, I'm like, okay, hold on. I just got to take a deep breath, even though they don't know yet. Surprise, guys. But it's pretty funny. It's a pretty crazy thing. And I think that I have to, not that he listens to any single one of these episodes ever, even though I've mentioned him many times, but I do have to give Matt credit because he has been just incredible for just like asking if he can cook and like learning how to cook and what do I need? Am I having cravings, and, you know, not to lift and whatever else. And it's just been so helpful. And he's also helped me a lot with trying to focus on yoga and all of the things that we should be focusing on anyway, that I don't take seriously normal times. It's a really nice wake up call, and it's nice to have that support, which I know not everybody has. So I feel very grateful for that. And I do not take that lightly.
Oh, see, there it is.
That's amazing. So now we get to ask the fun questions.
Tell me.
Do you are you guys going to find out what you're having?
So funny story. So there's 2 rounds of scary tests that people don't really talk about that I didn't know about. And I had a blood test about a week ago, and then I have the other test tomorrow. And so before I got the blood test, this is actually hysterical. The lady's like, you should go right from this appointment. There's an available appointment, blah, blah, blah. But do you have a snack on you? And I was like, oh my God, I ate my snack already. Why? And she's like, you're going to get so much blood taken. You're going to need a snack. And so I stopped at the grocery store before my appointment. I went in, and the only thing I wanted in that moment was graham crackers. Like, when's the last time you had like a package of graham crackers and we're just like enjoying them like forever, right?
Yeah.
I've never tasted something that has tasted so good in my entire life as the honey graham crackers from that grocery store. But anyways, I got that blood drawn, and they test you for everything, and they're testing every ounce of your blood, and then they do the test that can tell you the sex of the baby, and also if there's any abnormalities that can be detected through the blood test. And so the lady called me. I was on a client call actually, and I was like, oh my God, the doctor's office is calling me. How do I get off this call? I love you. You won't know who you are, client, but I'm sorry if I ended our call 5 minutes early. And so I finally called her back, and she tells me the results of the test, and knock on wood, everything was fine. And Matt was right next to me. She was on speaker, and she's like, do you want to know the sex of the baby? And I was like, yes. And he was like, no.
Oh my God, no.
So she says to me, she's like, I was like, all right, I guess not right now. And so I took him off. He walked away. I took it off speaker. And she was like, is it just you? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, call me back when he goes back to work. So funny. I couldn't obviously do that because I wouldn't be able to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
But it's like his mindset is everything in this life is so instantaneous, and we can find out the answer to everything we want to know. Like, let's be surprised. And I can't really fight that.
So you guys are not finding out until you give birth.
Yeah. It's gonna be pretty crazy. January. We have
oh my God, I hope it's my birthday. January 21st.
It's my due date's the 23rd, so it is very close.
Oh my God, you're gonna have a baby on my birthday. I can feel it. I know it.
It's an Aquarius twin.
Yes.
And because my periods are so irregular as far as like length, they can't really give me a due date. So I actually am supposed to be a week ahead. They thought I was a week further along, and on my first ultrasound, they were like, you're actually like a week behind what we said that you were. So my first ultrasound, it's like a little dot on there. Like I don't have you can't see anything.
Yeah.
It was actually like a full week behind schedule, which again, I mean, knowing your cycle is so important. Everybody go back and listen to the episode with Tracy, because that had so much good information about periods that we just don't talk about or think about until you have to.
Yeah. And honestly, it's so easy to just start, like, even if you don't have the information yet, just start tracking your cycle, and then you'll be happy you did that, because then once you start to read the information about your cycle, then you'll be able to kind of get an idea of where you're at.
Have some data. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they had no idea what my expected date was. So it was originally the 16th, and now it's the 23rd. So the 21st is like right in the middle of that average. It's pretty close.
I'm so excited. So then, so you're not finding out the sex, which totally respect that. And my mom listens to every episode, and she's going to be like, see, like, Jenna and Matt know what's up. Because she's like, whenever you have a baby, whenever that is, like, that's the one surprise that we can only have in this life. So Sue Pappas is going to be
same thing.
Yeah, Sue's going to be pumped.
Linda.
Yeah, she's going to be pumped. But okay, so do you have, assuming you don't want to share them on air, but do you guys have like your girl names picked out, your boy names, or you're just like really flying by the seat of your pants?
We really haven't had enough conversations about that yet, but we have quite a few people that we would like to name the baby after. Okay. And so now we're trying to figure out and prioritize which ones we named the first baby after, God willing that there's more than one. But, in the Jewish faith, you name for people that have passed away, and I'm sure in every faith, but we want to think about like how we can weave those in. It really throws a wrench in when you don't know the sex, because then you have to think about two sets of names.
Yes. And like you could take like a guy name, but like make it a girl name. Yeah. Yeah. So there's so many different ways.
Which could be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, and so we're moving on top of all of this. So like the stress level has definitely not been low throughout all of this, which is so not
Lord.
good.
When are
But
you
so
moving?
end of August, we are
Okay.
moving. And I actually had a phone call with, do you remember in our episode with Vanessa, we talked about everyone needs a Tiffany? Well, I
Yes.
hired Tiffany and I am so excited. And so we were talking this morning actually, and I told her over the phone that I was pregnant. I was like, you're going to keep that baby's room nice and gender neutral. And she was freaking out. It was the best. So everyone still needs a Tiffany, guys. I second Vanessa's comment if you listen to that episode.
I think we're going to have to link Tiffany in the show notes at this point now. So she's an interior designer as well? Because
Yes.
I thought she was like a stylist. So now I'm so confused.
She does
Okay.
it all. It's wild. It's wild. Oh, that was so nice of you to mute while you sneezed instead of my dog making so much noise during this. But anyways, I mean, it has been a beautiful, crazy ride. And I want to also just like bring attention on this episode that we've been recording and like putting out content since April, like the beginning of COVID. And we just want to say thank you to all of our listeners for sticking by us and really showing your support. I mean, I hope that we're delivering on our promises on episode 1, but it has been so fun to just see you guys listening to all of the episodes and like hearing your shared experiences too. It's just been so amazing.
Yeah. And thank you, Jenna, for being so open on this episode. And I think it helps. Like, I really do think we need to do more of these because we bring so many amazing people on that we're really just interviewing, which we love selfishly because we take away so much from it and we learn so much
Yes.
from it. But I
Our therapy
also,
sessions.
yeah, we basically just only are looking for therapists so we can get free therapy and put it on air. But joking, but not really. But then also, I think it's important that we potentially, do more of these because you and I both have a lot to share, whether it be the dietitian part of us or just, life experience and how it all intertwines together. So I think it's important for people to see us as humans as well and not just these like robotic interviewers.
And I'm going to flip the script right now and thank you because of all of this and because of this entire journey together, I start my intuitive eating coursework in 2 weeks.
Just add that onto your stress.
Right? It's good. It's going to be so good. I'm going to cry every day. It's fine. But starting, I believe it's the 29th. No, I'm sorry. The first week in August, I have my first coursework with Evelyn Trively. I'm like freaking out. I'm so happy. I'm really excited. And I've been doing supervision with Bree, Body Image with Bree, which that episode is one of our top listened to episodes.
Yeah, we need to have her back on for like a part 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Like incredible, because I mean, you've brought all of these people into my life that have completely changed it. And so I want to thank you too.
Well, thank you. And you're going to love that work because
I'm so excited.
The more you learn intuitive eating and the research that comes behind it, it trickles into so many aspects of life, and it'll change how you talk to people, how you view other people. It's truly like life changing. Like that sounds a little woo woo, but it really is. And
I already notice it in the way that I look at everything, just from the little work that I've done just by reading myself, and just, you look at things through a different lens. And one of the things that I think is so important right now that I find that a lot of my clients do not have the same privilege of, I think is the right word, because they're just not ready to do this yet. But I think we've talked about this on this previous episode, that our Instagram feeds are full of body positivity and all sorts of like intuitive eating focused, dietitian work and these types of really positive things that support the message that we put out there. And you forget how much diet culture is really like worse than ever right now and really feeding off of the quarantine mindset and things that are happening in this world. And, one of the things that I think has made my life less stressful right now is really being careful with what I look at on social media, and curating that feed to be something that supports the message that I put out there. And that's helped me tremendously.
Yes.
And I think that that's something that, again, like I said, I don't know if it's that my clients or people that I talk to aren't ready for that yet, or they just haven't done it. But it's life-changing when you look at things and you're like, oh wow, like what a great day on social.
Yeah, and you don't have to feed through the bullshit, and you don't have to see the triggering stuff. It changes. That's still hard to do on TikTok because they throw, like, I'll randomly get like, what I eat in a day, calorie deficit version. And I'm like, who the fuck does TikTok think I am? Like, why am I getting this message right now? But
so true.
That one's harder to sift through. But generally speaking, that one I only get like into.
Wait, but you are now like the TikTok star. Can we go back to the fact that you didn't want to do TikTok because you posted like 3 videos and we're like, nobody's watching. And now Sammy has like 100 and something thousand followers. So she can't even respond right now because she knows how insane it is.
I have no words. I don't understand the app. I don't get it, but we've connected with some of the most amazing clients because of that app. So I will be very, very sad if it does shut down. Like, is that happening? Like, I feel like you would know.
I don't think so. I mean, Matt and I talk about it literally every day because I refuse to actually like research the why behind it. Like, is somebody actually stealing my data? Like, are we going to be in trouble? But I think the truth of the matter is that it's unregulated, just like so many other things. And I don't believe that it's going to shut down. I could be biting myself in the ass for saying that, but I mean, Instagram takes your data too. So does Facebook.
And they're like connected because now when you post on TikTok, it like automatically opens your Instagram and like it's like prompting you to post it. Yeah. So I'm like, well, if TikTok's getting shut down, then Instagram's going to get shut down. And it's like, then we're really screwed. We can't talk to anyone.
You guys are going to have to find us through email. So
or Apple Podcasts, thankfully.
Take notes.
But yeah, it's been a wild ride on that app.
It's so funny. That was a conversation that started on a recording that we have not posted yet.
Yes. But I will say I've had one of my most memorable discovery calls that came out of TikTok. It actually happened today. She is a physician and never heard of intuitive eating, rightfully so. Like, she's in Western medicine, like went to medical school, like it's a different paradigm, but like saw my video and then like she said I just kept popping up on her For You page or whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. And she and then she got the book because she watched one of our videos that talked about the book, and then she read Anti-Diet, and then she was like, I have to do this work. Like, the amount of people that have never heard of intuitive eating or the anti-diet message, and now they're like all on board. It's insane. It amazing.
Has the potential to change the world. I mean, this app and the way that it links you to think about how you have the ability to have 100 and something thousand views on a video that took you 15 seconds, right?
Exactly.
And you share one message and then you share that 100 more times with really the same message attached to it, to a point where someone's finally like, I get this and I want this and I need this, and like, teach me how. And it kind of takes away that toxicity of the diet culture, and you're finally sharing it in a way that people are digesting and understanding. And it's like you've always said, it's hard to unsee the things that you see from what intuitive eating can really show you.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful thing. I mean, I'm currently listening to I was reading Anti-Diet for like months, and it's not a beach read. Like,
no, it's not.
It's not like something that you just casually pick up. And so for anybody that's interested in it, I mean, and has a difficult time like reading sometimes like I do, listening is life-changing. I mean, I listen to it every single day when I walk Quincy, and this morning's chapter that I was listening to was just like wild. It was a lot about the gastric surgeries. And just, I mean, we were taught these things in school as options.
As a dietetic specialty to restrict people so they can prep for a weight loss surgery that's going to ruin their digestive system.
For life.
And their life. And their body.
And malabsorptive disorders and restriction and mental health things that just nobody talks about. And the statistics that she dropped in that episode, I was like, what the fuck? Like, it's just
Yeah.
crazy. And I believe now that there's so much potential that this platform can put this message into the hands of the right people.
And I love how it's also like, because I hate, like, even though I feel like we're unfiltered and unplugged, like with Instagram, like you still want it to like look a certain way, but with TikTok, like it don't matter what you look like. Like I'll just go on there. I'm like, whatever. Like,
good morning.
yeah. And it's so like, I don't know. I feel like it's just more real than Instagram, even though like, I wouldn't say that you and I are fake on Instagram, but Instagram is just more, it's more curated.
Color
it's
coordinated.
More, yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's almost like a website now because
it's your marketing.
Yeah.
100%. TikTok
So it's
is
interesting.
like the mess.
Yeah, but you caught me. I'm addicted to TikTok now.
It's the best. It makes me so happy. So everyone make sure before TikTok goes away that you follow both of us on there.
Yes.
And I mean, honest to God, I'm grateful. I'm excited. I'm still eating more carbs than I've ever had in my entire days. And it's the best I've ever felt.
Very telling.
And very like new and fun carbs and just foods. It's amazing to be able to understand your body in this new way. And to just really have this process be just the next phase, which again, I'm super grateful. I'm excited to share all of it. Like I have so many questions. We need to bring on someone who has had multiple children who can talk about the birthing process. I feel like that's something we need to learn about. Yes, right? Like start thinking about this.
Well, we've had so many amazing mothers on this platform.
I feel like talk to us about that though.
Lynette and her twins. Are you kidding?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I mean, there's so many. There's so many. I'm just putting this out into the universe. If Happy, Strong, Healthy, the most pink brand in the world, does not have a girl, then I don't know what's wrong with the world. Obviously, you're going to be ecstatic with whatever, and I'm totally joking. But like, if you don't have a girl, I think about
it often because it's going to be rough to, it's going to
Did Anna, your cousin, have a boy or a girl?
She had a boy, and then my cousin Samantha, whose baby's 9 months older than Anna's, is a girl. So I feel like if we're going in order here, all of us will be the babies will be 9 months apart. So it was one, and then Anna didn't know she was pregnant, but was pregnant when Sammy had her baby, which is crazy. And then the same thing happened with us. And I'm moving 2 miles from Anna and like 10 miles from Samantha. So I'm super excited. That's all like know each other. We're actually moving to a town where I went to elementary school too, which is crazy.
That is so wild. It's all full circle. But I'm putting out into the universe. We need to get Susie back on here for we need to do a tarot card reading because maybe she'll tell us if you're having a boy or a girl.
And that's just so funny now too, that like on that episode when she asked me how I was feeling about something that day, I was like choking down vomit during that episode and like couldn't answer the question truthfully because you guys didn't know yet. But like there's so many things that just, behind the scenes, TBD. Yes. I mean, it's crazy. But amazing. So thank you for listening and asking and being part of this combo. And it'll be a wild next 6.5 months.
Yes. And I'm excited to walk along this journey with you. And hopefully you'll just continue to feel better and better throughout the process. And I feel like you're already feeling better since the beginning.
I have to say that like, as far as what it could have been, I consider myself very lucky. I mean, I know people that puked every single day, multiple times per day, and like couldn't do anything. And I've been walking and doing some yoga and doing Doc Britt fitness protocol, which has been awesome. Resting plenty, but like the fact that I can do that is beyond. And so that's just like, again, I think my body was ready, and it was in a space where it was, knock on wood, healthy enough to be here. So I'm very, very happy. And the doctor, once I told him I was a dietitian, he was like, oh, this is so great. You'll have to tell me what you're eating. And I was like, like that stigma
Pizza.
Because I am eating pizza.
Yes, we
Often.
eat all foods.
All foods,
foods.
pregnant or not, but
yes.
especially now.
Especially now. I love it.
Now. Well, thank you. Guys, let us know anything that you want to hear more of from us. And I feel like this is like chapter 1 of Drunk Dietitians. And now we're entering chapter 2.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Jenna. And everybody, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. If you have a newly pregnant friend or family member, send this to them. They will appreciate it, I'm sure.
Let us know their questions.
Yes. Yes.